On behalf of Archbishop, thank you so much for being here today, and thank you for standing up for religious freedom. Archbishop wanted to be here, but he is traveling, so I'm honored to read his statement. And I know I'll be getting many requests for this, so I'm going to tell you up front that I'm going to post it on my website. I know many of you are on my email list, and so I'll email it out to you. Both those things will happen next week. There is much to pray about for our nation. We pray at a critical moment in our history when the religious liberty of Catholics and, in truth, the religious liberty of all Americans is in jeopardy. When for the first time, our government is attempting to coerce religious institutions and individuals to violate their conscience or face severe penalties. The Health and Human Services mandates issued by President Obama's administration, already in effect for corporations and small businesses, have created a moral dilemma for many Catholic employers and insurers. Either violate their conscience by providing, under the guise of preventive health care, what our Catholic faith holds to be intrinsically evil practices, or jeopardize the provision of quality health care for their employees, as well as the long-term viability of their businesses. For many religious entities, such as Catholic charities, or Catholic colleges, or Catholic hospitals, the HHS mandates have defined them as not sufficiently religious, thus not qualifying for a religious exemption. This, too, is an ominous sign. When the government begins to assume the authority to impose its definition on what makes an institution religious. During the extended national debate about healthcare reform, did anyone think that the great health crisis was really about the unavailability of contraceptives? With the large number of people unemployed and all of our economic problems domestically, as well as serious threats to peace, as evidenced by the current tensions, violence in the Middle East, do most Americans think providing free contraceptives on demand to be a national priority? Evidently, President Obama does. After all, he has been willing to risk his signature piece of legislation, the Affordable Health Care Act, in order to force the Catholic Church and many who share our convictions to provide abortion-inducing drugs and contraceptives to our employees. For this administration, it is not enough if contraception is readily available, inexpensive, and through hundreds of millions of dollars of federal funding, free for the poor. The President and Secretary Sebelius want to force Catholic charities, Catholic colleges, Catholic hospitals, Catholic-owned businesses, etc., to become complicit in providing abortion and contraception. It is a demonstration of an exercise of raw power in that the government is attempting to bend the will of the Church to conform to the mandates. In defending these unprecedented attacks on religious liberty and conscience rights, President Obama and his administration have been intemperate and reckless in their depiction of their opponents. For those of us who oppose having our religious liberty robbed from us, the administration has cast us as waging a war on women and women's health. It is ironic that an administration whose foreign policy has all but banned the term war on terror and shies away from calling obvious acts of terrorism by their proper name, not wishing to provoke or inflame our international enemies, while at the same time shows no qualms of claiming those who oppose their abortion and contraception policies as waging a war on women. Such rhetoric is not only inflammatory and insensitive, but it is simply untrue. The President has actually turned the truth on its head. When one speaks about waging a war, this normally implies an act of aggression. In point of fact, those opposing the HHS mandates are not trying to change the status quo. We are simply attempting to maintain it. The President and his administration are the aggressors. The HHS mandates not only attempt to make contraception, abortifacient drugs, and sterilization free, but they coerce the Catholic Church and others with conscientious objections to pay for and provide what we consider to be morally offensive. If there is a war being waged, It is the President and the administration's war against freedom of religion and conscience rights. And in conclusion, I'd like to just give my favorite quote from Archbishop Naumann and many of our U.S. bishops. We cannot, we will not comply with this unjust law.